Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to the program. Brad Miller with you for Countywide to kick off this week. And our guest today, we want to welcome into studio Cheryl Oliver, a chapter leader, and a past chapter leader, Janet Kelley. They're with the Compassionate Friends of the Verde Valley, the chapter of what is an international organization, and we'll talk a little bit about that today. But advocates, folks who help in the time of loss, specifically parents who may have lost a child. And they have a big fundraiser coming up. First of all, we'll talk about that. It's tonight, so you still have some time to act, but more importantly, they will be here well after the fundraiser and supporting the community in a very important way, and one that I don't know that we've ever talked about on this program, but that was our intention of having the two of you come on today and chat a little bit with us about Compassionate Friends. So we'll say, Cheryl, hello to you and welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Good to have you here today, and Janet, to yourself as well.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Let's mention tonight's the fun. It sounds like the premier event. It says to kick off your business in 2011. This will be at the casino, Cliff Castle Casino in Camp Verde. This is going to be, it sounds like what, Janet, a lot of fun tonight and a good way to raise funds?
Absolutely.
Okay,
good.
Tell me a little bit about this.
Well, the casino, the Cliff Castle Casino Hotel, Verde Valley Business Resource, Trapper Moore Financial, Farm Bureau Financial, and Concept Auto Glass are sponsoring an event to bring awareness to shop local, buy local, committed to the community, and help promote all the businesses in northern Arizona.
That's a good thing. We'll talk nuts and bolts, times, and all of that kind of stuff, but the proceeds are going to help your group.
Lots of raffle prizes, things from all of the major pro teams all the way to all the businesses in northern Arizona have contributed raffle prizes, so lots of them, and all the proceeds are going to the Compassionate Friends tonight.
Outstanding. Let's start at the beginning then. Compassionate Friends is what kind of an organization?
The Compassionate Friends is a group that, it's a self-help support group. So it's basically parents helping other parents that have lost children. We also have a siblings division and a grandparents division. We meet once a month and have a monthly meeting at the Mountain View Methodist Church at 901 South 12th Street in Cottonwood at 7 o'clock the second Thursday of every month. The idea of the meetings is to just, as you grieve, a good way to help in your grieving process is to reach out and help other people. Sure. So in doing so, we're parents that reach out to others, help them, and give them that sense of that you can survive the loss of a child.
Right. And that's, I think, what we're trying to kind of do today as much as anything. Let folks in the community know that there is an outlet locally, a resource, and Janet, that's really kind of the heart of why there's a chapter in the Verde Valley. The
reason why we started the chapter is, well, when I lost my daughter, it was 13 years ago, but the closest local chapter was Prescott, and so that was a little bit tough because you're not real strong, and I was driving over the hill, going to the meetings, and then coming back, and it pretty much was wearing on me. So some years later, I was approached by a friend of ours, Christina Bonfi, and she said, Janet, let's start a chapter here locally. She had gone to the Prescott meeting also. And so that was when we decided to form the chapter here. So
makes sense. Just simply to have a more local resource. It seems to me, in your experience, that folks might be either hesitant to reach out. We're all strong.
Right.
We all like to think of ourselves as that, and whatever the circumstance may be, moms and dads, whatever, might need help and either not be aware of it, not admit it. Is that common?
When it happened when we lost our daughter, I'll tell you what, I didn't think I could survive a minute or an hour. And so I was looking, for somebody to say, you can survive this, and how do I do it? Because there's no real manual. There's no, how do you do this? Lose a child. It's everybody's worst nightmare. So, when we, the meetings are just, it's so beneficial because you have parents from all different stages of grief that can lend their support and their expertise, if you will, on how you do it.
Sure.
So.
And when we say the stages of grief, I know that it's not, I know just enough about it that it's not, you don't kind of start here and it's over here.
No.
And to think otherwise would be silly. But to a lot of us, maybe it doesn't occur that that's how it works until
Right.
we're hurting ourselves.
And again, you know, because it is the greatest loss, and it's considered the greatest loss in any parent's mind, and I think even people who have never had children would know that that is the greatest loss.
Sure.
And it's something that society in general really doesn't want to talk about because it scares them. You know, losing a child is, because it is the greatest loss, it scares everybody. So there really is an avoidance of talking about it in the general public. And as a grieving parent, you find that unless you meet up with other grieving parents, you truly have no one to talk to, and no one that truly understands.
The bond.
Exactly.
That kind of common, perhaps sad bond, but through it,
yes,
we're able to kind of find strength. Tell me if there's someone listening now who maybe is hurting, and it could even be an old wound. What happens? You mentioned the Methodist Church and the dates and times. I guess simply what, calling you or reaching out? How do I start?
Yes. You can call me or Janet, either one. The number that is listed on our website and in all of our brochures is my cell phone number, which is 928-254-9505. There's also an email listed, which is Cheryl Oliver 9505 at gmail.com.
Okay.
Sometimes it's easier to communicate not in person, so we'll respond to emails, we'll respond to notes sent to us, have a friend that calls and gets the information. We have a lot of brochures and books and stuff like that can help you kind of understand what's going to happen over the course of the next day, month, year, years. I mean, it doesn't change. You know, like Janet mentioned, you're 13 years into it now. I'm coming up on 5 years.
Right.
And the grief doesn't change. It's how you learn to deal with the grief.
Sure, sure. You mentioned that folks can call, there's email, there's different kinds of outreach. It seems like that is kind of tailored toward what would be comfortable for the user. In other words, they can call and just chat with you on the phone, and
Yes.
that's
and we have a long list, several of us, our steering committee, we're all available, what we call phone a friend, and we make ourselves available any time of day or night. So if somebody needs us in the middle of the night, there's a number that they can call and reach one of us to talk to.
It seems like that's going to happen an awful lot.
It does.
As we kind of, like you said, we manage, we don't get over. And through that process, do you kind of, is everything kind of as a group, or I could just kind of see maybe folks pairing off? I have something in common with Janet, or does that happen? Do you kind of individualize with maybe folks that come in?
We do, and I think it's just, you'll have some kind of connect or whatever, and ideally, in a perfect world, you would take it even outside the meetings and go for a walk or go for a hike with somebody and meet a friend, and that's the perfect scenario, because that's where you really find the comfort. So, Cheryl, you should mention the Compassionate Friends website also, because all that information is in the Compassionate Friends.
Yes, it's www.thecompassionatefriends.org.
Okay. A good place to probably start, or to pick up the phone. We'll repeat all of that information before we wrap up today.
Great.
I wanted to get just a little background on the program, because this is, I hope I said it right at the beginning, international.
It is.
Globally. Tell me.
It actually started in 1968 in England. There was a doctor who, just through the course of working at a hospital, had met within a few days of each other. 2 young children had passed away, and he brought those 2 sets of parents together, just hoping that they could help each other in some way, to reach out to each other and help each other. And he watched how that connection worked.
Right.
And then from there, it just kind of branched off into other groups, and those 4 original parents kind of helped propel it into groups in their area, and then throughout the course of time, since 1968, it's branched into 625 chapters here in the United States.
It's incredible how many groups similar to this that help people, peer, messaging, started that way.
Yes.
I mean, AA started that way. 2 guys, just talking to each other about their common bond and what it has grown into. Janet, if someone comes to you and maybe they need professional help, is that available through your group, or how do you handle that?
Oh, great point, Brad. Yeah, because we do have resources for professional counselors that specialize in the grief process. Because, counselors, they all have their specialty, whether it be marital counseling. And marital, maybe we can touch on that too, because a lot of people think, you've experienced a loss, your marriage is over. That is such a fallacy. It's just not true.
But isn't it common, or not? I mean,
yeah. Well, what the statistics have found is that it's actually, if the marriage is in trouble before a loss,
sure,
then you're not, I don't want to say that you're doomed, but you're going to have a harder time keeping it together. Right. But if the marriage is a good, strong marriage and they've got a strong foundation, chances are you're going to survive it just fine together. You may struggle through the process, and you may be, on different chapters, and not even in the same book as you're going through the process, but, chances are you're going to survive it. My husband and I stayed together, and it's been a little bit of a rocky road, but you can do it.
Sure.
You can do it.
We need to take a break. I hate to interrupt, but
That's
we do
okay.
need to pause for just a moment. The Compassionate Friends of the Verde Valley chapter, Cheryl Oliver and Janet Kelley, are our guests today. Big fundraiser coming up tonight. You can find out more about this group, and more importantly, you can help them out in continuing the work that they do in our area. We'll take a break. Countywide is back right after this.